one, go. Hi, my name is Michaela Lockmiller, and this is Why College Athletes Should Be Paid. So, as I mentioned before, my name is Michaela, and I play college volleyball here at Grace. I'm a sophomore, I'm a middle hitter, and I have played for the past 2 years. So, before I get in depth as to why student athletes should be paid, I would like to point out that this is something that is student supported. So, with the debate over paying college athletes heating up in California and across the country, we wanted to see where students stand on the issue that directly impacts their campuses and classmates. What we found is that a majority of students are in favor of paying student athletes and giving overwhelming support for allowing student athletes to profit off their name and image. So I want to break this survey down a little bit more. There were 2,501 students surveyed, and 38% of students said they favor, and 15% said they strongly favor allowing universities to pay college athletes salary, meaning that more than half of all students polled were in support of compensating college athletes. So why is this relevant to us here at Grace? So Grace has 12 sports teams and over 240 college athletes, both male and female combined. On average, Grace gave their male student athletes only $3,931 in athletic financial aid. Now, I understand this number off the bat sounds like a lot of money, but I would like to make note of how much Grace College costs. So right now, Grace College costs $36,000 and $125. So this is how much Grace costs right now, and when you think about it, that leaves a student athlete still another $33,000 to pay. So another important thing to note is the revenue that the Grace College athletes bring in. So our sports team's revenue is around $2,064,956. So this is a significant amount of money that the Grace College athletes are bringing in. So a little preview as to what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to break it down into 3 sections of my own personal life and experience of being a college athlete here at Grace. So the 3 sections I want to talk about is the time to grind, time to study, and time to hold a job. So the time to grind is the daily life of a student athlete. I'm going to show you what my off-season schedule looks like. Time to study. This time to grind, as I mentioned before, limits the amount of time the student athlete has to study. So I'm going to put in my class schedule and show you what that looks like. And then time to hold a job. I want everybody here to realize that the college athletes still have to pay almost $33,000. So that makes the student athlete population need to work outside of their job they already have. So my off-season schedule. All right, so we will break it down Monday through Saturday, and those are the days I'll primarily have things. So this is what my session would have looked like if we would have been there on campus instead of home. So Monday mornings, nice and early, we will lift from 6 to 7:30 a.m. And I will tell you, when you go to class afterwards sweaty, it is not the best situation, but we make do with what we have. And then we have practice from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. So you're expected to be there 30 minutes early to get ready and set up the nets and stretch and warm up and do all those things. And then we will, on average, end about 15 minutes late. But for the sake of the schedule, I put up just 3:30 to 5:30. Tuesdays, the first thing we do is we practice, and then we will have Bible study that night from 9 to 11 p.m. Why it's so late is because of nighttime classes. So it's a late night, but then the next morning is an early morning, 6 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. We will lift again. Again, we'll have practice that same time later that night. Thursdays are a little bit different of a day. First, we lift at normal time, and then we'll do community service. So our student athletes throughout any sports team are really involved in the community, and our specific team will go to Baker Youth Club, we'll serve in food pantries, we'll do all sorts of different things, and we do this from 3:30 to 5, and then we practice from 5:30 to 7:30 because you can't miss a day of practice. Then Fridays, all we'll have is practice from 3:30 to 5:30. Then Saturdays look different every single week, but on average, we'll usually have at least a 4-hour commitment. That could either be recruits, open gyms, more practices. We will host tournaments, we'll go to tournaments, we'll host camps, we'll all do all sorts of different things. So during actual season, so like when I'm not in my off season, my during season, the average player committed 43.3 hours a week to train, practice, and play. So that is more than what you would do in a full-time job. Keep this number in mind because we'll talk about it later. So now, time to study. Another reason why college athletes should get paid is because they spend more time on the field than they do in classrooms. This means they put so much time for their sport, and they're so dedicated to it that they barely have time for anything else. So now, looking at my schedule, I'm going to add in my schoolwork. So this isn't chapel or anything like that, just the times I would have had classes if I was there this session. So we have added an 8 a.m. to 10:20 a.m. class Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. I've also added a 1 to 3:20 class. So you might be thinking, what does this look like if you're supposed to be there early? Well, what it looks like is we then have to rush and run and be super late, and then you're most likely not going to get smiled at, but your coach for the most part will understand. Time to work. So, do you have $33,000 laying around? Neither do our college athletes. So it's time for them to get a job. Not every college athlete gets a job, but I know, at least for me and a good portion of my team, we all work. So here is what my work schedule, class schedule, and volleyball schedule would have looked like if I was there. So I have added a work meeting from 10:20 to 11:30. I have then added a calling shift from 6 to 8 at night. I then have added a tour block from 10:30 to 1 p.m. And my calling shifts are I am calling different high school students that could potentially come to Grace, and my goal is to get them to apply. And then tour blocks, obviously, I'm just giving a tour and showing off our campus. What I specialize in is giving student athletes tours. So I'll have weirder hours, I'll work more, but I will also be giving Saturday tours. So I have that calling shift Tuesday night, tour block 8 to 10:30 on Wednesday, a 6 to 8 calling shift Wednesday, a tour block on Thursday from 1 to 3:20, and a tour block from 10:30 to 1 on Friday. So overall, why should our college athletes get paid? Let's think about how much revenue, how much money these college students bring in. Again, they bring in $2,064,956, a significant amount. How much they get paid currently? $3,931. So then I would also like to think about the amount of hours they put into it. If you remember earlier, it was 43.3 hours. So what I would like to point out is that comparing this to the minimum wage we would pay. So if I was getting paid minimum wage for this, I multiplied the $725 times the 43.3. I multiplied this by 4 for the month, and then each season is around 4 months. So we are from the end of July to the beginning of December. So that would equate us to not even getting paid minimum wage. The minimum wage for this was over $5,000, and we get paid not even $4,000. So college athletes aren't even making minimum wage for the strain they're putting on their bodies, their mental health, and their emotional health. So in conclusion, why should our student athletes get paid? So it would boost morale of the athletes themselves, and that would lead to better performance. Not only would it boost the morale of the student athletes, but it would also boost the morale of Grace College population in general. Because if you're more excited to play, people are more excited to come watch you play. And if you're playing better, more people are going to come, and Grace is going to bring in more revenue. Increase school spirit. As I mentioned earlier, when I'm excited to play, other people want to watch me play because I'm excited. This will make people more interested to know what's going on at Grace, increase that school spirit. And finally, these students will get paid proper compensation for the work they're putting in, because as we've seen by my schedule, it can get a little hectic, get a little crazy, even in your off season. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. These are my credits, and yeah.